And I will tell you that today's agenda, roughly based on your needs, is first, just like I mentioned, dealing with questions about what's happened so far. Things have been really fast paced. I know that could be a very different experience for some of you. So I want to make sure that we're all on the same page and everybody is feeling comfortable to move forward. Then we'll do a quick overview of Module 1.2, which starts today. We'll also look at the final project, and then we will do some small group work on those final projects. So these sessions will definitely be in part about working together to go over the materials and to apply them within the context of your final projects and so on. And then we'll do a little wrap up, and that'll be that for today. All right, so let's start with questions. There was a lot that went on in the last 2 days. You were getting a flurry of emails. We had that live session, which was admittedly very long and very intense with a lot of information. So what questions do you have? How can I assist you in feeling more comfortable with this course and with what's due or what we're doing? Anybody? And please just feel free to jump right in. Jing?
I'm just typing. I don't want to interrupt when you're talking. So I do want to ask, may we do the assignments earlier before their due time? I know, we haven't started like module 2, like 2.1, 2.3, 2.2, but I try to get things done when I'm having my laptop before. That's my question.
Yes, you can. There are definitely assignments. For example, you can look ahead to I'll go to the content. So in week 1, we have live sessions. There's the final project assignment. It's not due till Friday, but you could certainly turn that in beforehand, earlier. The week 1 discussion has Wednesday and Friday dates, but for example, if you wanted to reply to somebody before Friday, you could certainly do that. The other activities that are going on in pretty much every module are the key takeaways. Now, if you have a key takeaway that happens from the readings before we do any live sessions or any discussions with others, then go ahead and note that down. But as a general guideline, the key takeaways can come from the live sessions during that module, the discussions that are happening that week, any interactions with others, and the readings. So while you can do them early, if you do them on the day of, keeping all of that information in mind, that would be great too. But I'm not too picky about that.
I have a question about that. So let's say it started earlier and you posted you wrote about the key takeaways before the live session, and then something else that you resonated with you from the live session. Can you go back and you add it on, or once you submit it, it's gone?
No, you can go back and resubmit. So there is 2 opportunities when you go into a key takeaway. You can submit once, and then if you've already submitted once, you'll see this update link. And so then you could go in and you could resubmit. It's not revising your previous, it's actually doing a new submission with your thoughts, but both of them are kept in the system. So you could just say, this is an addendum to what I previously wrote.
Got you.
You're welcome.
I have another question. It's a quite the opposite here.
Okay.
So I did miss the live session yesterday and or the day before, and I almost like done with it. I didn't completely finish it. And did we have something that we needed to submit yesterday? or there was a quiz or something?
So there is an assignment.
Okay.
I send out a link in email and it is, where is it? Oh, I'm not going to see it on mine because only the people who didn't attend will see it. But in the module, in the activities, in the assignment area, there will be one that says module 1.1 quiz assignment. Let me see what it says. I will stop viewing as a student. Assignment. Module 1.1 June 3rd live quiz. So you should be seeing that in your assignments area. I had emailed the link to that, the direct link to that. And the questions are, I won't be able to see it in this view. The questions are listed in there. It's 3 questions about what happened during the live session. Okay.
I'm gonna answer this based on the recording, right? Like,
Yes, based on the recording. Mhm.
okay, gotcha. Okay, thank you.
You are welcome.
Hi, I have another question.
Yes. Yeah.
So, is it possible we can ask for the live session plan for tomorrow? I mean, actually, it's just me because I will be driving to airport tomorrow during the during that, I think tomorrow we got 1 to 2 p.m. That's the time. So, is it possible I ask for that now? I mean, it doesn't matter if they can do that tomorrow. I'm just trying to understand because I worry about driving, and still participate for whatever questions coming up. So if I can know the plan ahead, I will type something ahead of time, copy paste when I'm driving.
Oh, I see. So tomorrow's live sessions, one is at 2 p.m. Eastern, and the other, or the alternative time that I added is at 6 p.m. Eastern. And that will be roughly, we'll be discussing an overview of module 1.3. We will be doing some work on your final projects in terms of completing the week 1 final project assignment. We'll be covering questions like we are now. And we will be working in our groups to explore issues of diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility.
Okay, thank you. I'll try my best.
Okay, no, thank you. Thank you.
And Bethany, can you also clarify the expectations for participation during a live session? Like if you just log in but do not interact at all, is that still counts for attendance, or are you requiring interaction, and what's the criteria for that?
Ah, that's great. So my assumption, of course, is that if people are logged in, that they are cognitively engaged with the material in one way or another. So I hadn't yet set any specific guidelines for, oh, somebody must ask a question in order to be considered there. I do know that I had a couple of people that logged in to the live session on Monday and then had to log out within 5 minutes. That certainly wouldn't count as a being present during the live session. That would require the follow-up questions about the live session. But beyond that, I hadn't really I guess my assumption was if people were in the session that they would be cognitively engaged. So any thoughts on that? Anybody? That's a great question, Zarin. Thank you. Any other questions about anything that happened on Monday or anything related to getting around in this course and trying to figure out what's due, what's going on, anything like that? No? All right. Vivian? Are you
I
there?
emailed her. I don't know. I haven't heard back, Bethany.
All righty. Let's go back to the agenda there. If there are no more questions, then we will go on to the module 1.2 overview. I had prepped slides just in case anybody had questions about course structure, course grading, or where all of this information in the course was coming from. But we'll jump into the 1.2 overview. All right, so 1.2 is basically week 1 and week 2, all of them, both weeks, are setting the foundations for an understanding of digital learning in general. And what we do is this week is kind of an overview, and next week we go a little bit deeper into each one. So for module 1.2, we just get the basics in case you've not experienced digital learning in any of its modalities before. We cover the basics of the differences between synchronous learning, asynchronous learning, blended, high flex, and in-person. So most of it, probably all of you have done in-person teaching where you're in a classroom with your students physically together in a space. Sometimes that's referred to as on-ground learning or in-person, although with the shift to all the Zoom stuff that happened during the pandemic, which kind of felt in person in some regards, that phrase can be a little misleading. But in person, generally, we're referring to physically together in the same space. Synchronous is what we're doing now. So when we get together at the same time in a digital space like Zoom or Microsoft Teams or any one of the other many options for this kind of a meeting, then that's synchronous learning. Asynchronous is this classroom where there's a bunch of content available and prepped for you, and activities and so on, but people are accessing that material at different times, whatever's convenient for them. You might log in at 10 o'clock at night after you've gotten off of a long day of work, or you've finished feeding the kids and putting them to bed, or you're cuddled up with your cat on the couch or something, and you log in at that time and do the readings and do the activities. And meanwhile, somebody else is logging in at 6 o'clock in the morning because they're a morning person. So that's asynchronous. Blended is, generally speaking, a combination of synchronous and asynchronous, although it could also be, depending on where you work and where you teach, it could be a combination of asynchronous and in-person, or even synchronous and in-person. But basically, it just refers to blending 2 or more of the modalities, generally 2 of the modalities. And then finally, high flex is a combination of all those things. Now, I've taught high flex. This is tricky. It's a tricky mode. High flex, generally how this goes is you have a class set up, a physical class, a physical space where people can go. but you also have options during those class times for people to join synchronously from wherever they are. So you're managing a physical space and also a digital space like where we're in right now. And often there will be asynchronous components. There will be a classroom, a digital classroom with the content available as well. And then students are free to attend the class physically or synchronously and also do the asynchronous work. And it can be fun and interesting. Definitely it addresses those learner needs kinds of issues and for its flexibility, but that is high flex. So any questions about those modalities? All right, I will ask you guys a question. Let me see, I'm gonna start with Ahmed. What kind of teaching do you do, Ahmed? Which modality are you using?
I'm doing hybrid.
And
That's could be, yes, go ahead.
oh no, which version of hybrid are you doing?
I'm doing it's a mix between in person and it's the blended, so the in person and the what is it? The online.
The asynchronous online?
Yes.
Oh.
Hold on. It's synchronous, not
Oh,
asynchronous.
synchronous. So
Yes.
in
I
a
have Zoom
Zoom
sessions.
session?
Yes, have Zoom sessions on Tuesdays, and I have in person on Thursdays. But as a matter of fact, as I have a teaching assistant who's doing the in-person sessions with the students.
All right. And what was your, like, did you get to decide that modality or did your institution require you to do that type of modality? And what were kind of the reasonings behind that?
It's a good question. It's circumstances put me on that situation or that position because I teach with the University of Louisiana, but now I'm residing and we had to move to Pensacola, Florida a year ago with my wife to be closer to my wife's family with the kids. So that was kind of like a solution to the instead of doing the in-person and doing it completely remote. So came up with the hybrid as a solution for the situation, for my situation. So the university were supportive of that, and I was happy and glad that they were understanding and supportive.
Thank you for that example of that description because, you know, it's often we make those modality decisions based on supporting the learners. So it's nice to hear modality decisions being made based on the needs of the faculty as well. Yay.
Right.
That's rare. That's kind of like a unicorn.
It is. It doesn't happen quite often, but I'm glad that I have supportive supervisors. And it's been happening for the past 2 years, and I think it's going well. So, and the students like that too because we have the flexibility between attending classes and on Zoom and being in person one day to interact with another instructor in class.
That's great. Wonderful. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Alice, how about you? What's your teaching situation like in Shanghai regarding digital modalities?
And mostly, we do it in person modality. But of course, in the past few years during the, the pandemic, we did, the we did online. It's like the, Zoom learning systems, synchronous. Yeah, we do synchronous because our students, they didn't like asynchronous. They don't like to, how to say, they don't like to negotiate it with the materials. or some videos, right? They prefer to talking with me directly, to to talking, to asking some questions. So they love the synchronous. They feel it's still, how to say, seems like in the classroom, right? Don't feel so much differences. So they just ask for synchronous. So that's why our institute, our university, just make a decision to do, the live sessions, just like what we have, we have been doing now. So, but after that, we come back to, after academic, we come back to university to do the in-person, class, because, our students, they don't think in-person, this modality can be replaced by just by synchronous online classes. They don't think it's the same. They love in-person. That is the most modalities for our students, even if our students is already adult, right? Is already adult, but they still love the physical, teaching, physical instruction, right? That is inevitably, I'm right to say inevitably. Sorry. Uh,
So how old are your students typically, Alice?
our students, how to say, because I have different types of the courses, right? Some is just like it's like, how to say, it's like undergraduate students around 18 to 20 years old, but some is the adult around 30 years old, something like that. Yeah, it's different.
Well, okay, great. So you bring up some great points like Anna did. Preference and need are two big reasons for choosing particular modalities. A preference, like you mentioned, your students prefer to do in person. And then the need, like you're catering to students or faculty who are at a distance from the course, whatever the course is. And those are really good reasons to choose. After all, many of us are teaching in situations where people are opting to learn something rather than having to learn something. So basing your modality choices on preferences is perfectly valid. Yeah, there's so many things to consider when deciding on modalities. So thank you, Alice.
I think, in my opinion, the differences between these online courses, right, in our university, and the in person's, classroom, I think maybe the feeling is a little bit different. It's like they can touch. It's like the distance already being, narrowed, and they feel it's more warming atmosphere, right? For the in-person classroom, they feel more warming atmosphere. Yeah, and not just the, face directly, not just the face to the computer, right? And they can feel this atmosphere. They can feel it's warming, right? And they can touch. Yeah.
It makes a difference. So you'll see in some of the research, and I think this will be more next week where we get a little bit deeper in this, but most of the research on distance education and on digital learning modalities starts with the premise that face-to-face communication, which is what humans basically have grown accustomed to over the millennia. We have developed certain communication strategies, from being aware of body language and other nonverbal communication to just tone of voice and things that don't convey well in some digital environments. All of these things are the sum total of our communication strategies. and in a face-to-face setting. And when you move to any kind of digital modality, one of the things you need to do is figure out how to overcome some of the coldness or dryness that some learners and faculty feel in that digital environment, because you're missing nonverbal communication, or you're missing tone, like in terms of like whether you're speaking angrily or happily or joyfully or whatever. And so that's a lot of the research is like, how do we more closely approximate face-to-face communication using these digital tools, given that sometimes we have to do a digital modality because we have no other option, whether it be for a pandemic or whether it be because we're trying to reach students that simply can't come to campus, or whatever that is. So
Thank you.
All right, let me see. Jing, how about you? What are you teaching? What modality are you using?
I actually just trying to contribute, but I hate to interrupt people when you're talking, when I hear John was talking. I'm teaching high school now, but when COVID, when the pandemic came, I was still teaching in another state in Michigan. I'm teaching Mandarin in elementary setting. So we kind of like go started with like everything online. And that's how I kind of like freaking out, like, okay, it's time to learn everything totally new. I'm like new bird. So our school trained us a lot of like online using Schoology. So that's how I started design everything online. So that's how I started. And then I learned a lot. I learned a lot that whole year. All my YouTube subscriptions goes to all these like online teachers. That's how I started. But now I shift my job. I go to Texas. I came to Texas and I teach in high school. We are all in person teaching. So that's but then I realized there are several students they still, we got some students, they still choose to stay at home. So I ended up having to design two total different teaching mode. Basically teaching online when we have like a conference time to take care of these kids staying at home. And also design all these online assignments for these kids while I teaching full time in campus. So I would say it's like kind of like getting into like a blended teaching or blended learning for my students while I cover in person. I don't know. There's so many things going on during 2022, 2021. So that's how I started. Even now, I still feel like I still want to learn more, especially when AI came into our site. So yeah, I'm super grateful and excited to be involved in the Star Talk because I realized, okay, here's the thing. I've been learning like 150-ish hours PD training this just past 1 year. And there are not so many options for AI, like AI teaching, especially for Chinese teaching. So when I saw the Star Talk, I looked into that. They are more like teaching you how to design the courses, how to do everything. And that's how I realized, okay, this is exactly what I need, what I need. And of course, it's free. I was like, oh my goodness, God bless me. So that's how I involved into this. And I'm also having another online training together with these days. That is AI teaching. While I'm still planning my personal trip with my dad to Alaska. So it's like three things together. But this online module helps me out because I can learn, I can, handle my personal life. It just gives me a lot, very great opportunity to learn. But when it comes to my students, well, they're different. They are not adults. They don't have that kind of like discipline. If you design something online, you say, okay, it's due tomorrow. They will not submit it on time, as I'm saying. So that's the thing. I believe this module will teach me how to engage them, to remind them, even I don't know, like a message or email reminding system, like, oh, it's due time tomorrow. Something like that I'm very curious to learn that. I also noticed the cell phone app that we downloaded, what is it called, Pulse. I really like the feature that there's a feature, something like you can see the workload. It's like a flow. So if I get my work done, the workload is very low there. But if I have some due coming up, like today or tomorrow, the workload is like the peak mode. I don't know how to describe that, but I saw that. That's very visualized for me. And I already start thinking, what if my students just like me? I'm a visual learner. So I'm very curious, excited to learn from this module because I hope I can take that all these things away. Yeah, I mean in the Pulse app, there's a visualized assignment. Yes, that's what I meant.
Thank you for bringing that up. And yeah, the visual learning, there's a couple of really great things you brought up. So for anybody who doesn't know yet, if you like to do things on your phone, there is when you're logged in, up in the upper right-hand corner, if you click on your name and then click on notifications, you'll be taken to this screen where you can get the Pulse app, which connects you to this classroom. So you can have this classroom on your phone. And then, of course, there are the other notification areas here where you can choose to get reminded of announcements when they get sent. And by the way, I do recommend that you select getting notified for announcements via SMS or email. Okay, I send out quite a bit of announcements, but you can get notified for everything. And I'm going to cancel this. Jean mentioned also the difference in modalities for younger students and older students. So that is another important consideration when deciding on modalities, if you have the option to choose, is who are your learners? What are their ages? How prepared are they to be independent learners? Because an environment like an asynchronous environment assumes a lot more student skills, a better or stronger independent learning abilities, which can be developed to a certain extent and should be developed in all students at their level that they can handle. But it is a consideration. Those of us even that teach in college know it, like I've never had the benefit or the fortune to teach undergrads. I've only taught graduate and postgraduate students. But undergrads and some graduate students also need these supports of how to be a better independent learner because they've always been in a physical classroom and haven't had to exercise those independent study strategies that they need to develop. All right, I see. Let me see. Vivian.
Hello, good morning. Yeah, I'm
Hi, nice to
sorry. Yeah, I was on the call, unexpectedly. For me, so my day job actually is IT program management. So I actually manage a bunch of developers. But this is a kind of my passion project. Being a bilingual teacher. So in a Saturday, Chinese school, it's called the American Chinese School. So I kind of take care of the bilingual program. So most of my students are non-Chinese heritage, So I think it's very meaningful because, you don't want to, your kids living in a bubble, right? You want to them to know more things, right? Especially can make you become a better person. But also, it's very different, right? Like teaching guide professionals and versus the teaching and guide the elementary school students and also even high school students, right? That's why I'm interested, to know how I can, because certainly we think like every kid wants to learn, but how we can communicate effectively with them. So get their interest, so they have a desire, right, to learn more, especially for certain students, they really have no Chinese environment in their home. So that's why I feel like I need to help them, prepare them, since so in so many options, they pick Chinese to learn. And they must have something, right, inside their heart, right? That's why I want to, especially, no one said, "Oh, my parents make me here," right? When I ask them, "Why you want to learn Chinese?" Right? So that's why I want them to continue, have the desire, have the and feel like learning a new language, right? And learning something new, actually, it's interesting. Broad your mind, and also you can see the different world, like us, as an immigrant come here. English definitely, yeah, give us a very new, open a new door, for us. So I kind of feel the benefits of being a bilingual. So I want, other kids or other people, if they want to learn, they can enjoy the benefits, get the best out of 2 words. Yeah. So that's yeah, my kind of feel based on the past 10 years teaching Chinese with English. Yeah.
Great, thank you. And Jing, Vivian said she's teaching at the American Chinese School. I think that's what you said, Vivian, right?
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That my experience. Yeah. But I want to have some more structured learning, because it's very different. Like I'm a native Chinese speaker. But for the student I'm teaching, actually, they're native English speaker, right? How you can see from their perspective, the other side of the fence to learn. Yeah, that's something now I had both kids, born here. So I know they're somehow like lack of the environment, how we can keep their interest to want to learn more. That's very important as well. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And so grabbing students' attention and maintaining their interest and motivation is definitely something that we will be looking at in this course, how to do that, and how to do that in the different modalities, within the different modalities, and also how to use the different modalities to do that, because interest and engagement can come from the content and the activities, and it can come from the different environments. Like some will be more motivated naturally in a synchronous environment or an in-person environment, and others might be, and I know this may sound strange, but others might be more motivated in an asynchronous environment or a blended environment, and so on. So each modality will have strategies for engaging the students and maintaining their interest. And within a class, using different modalities can also be useful for maintaining interest and engagement within the possibilities of your individual situations. I know that we don't always have a choice. We don't always have a choice. Sometimes it's dictated to us the modality that we have to use. And then we've just got to overcome certain barriers for certain students Because if you have to teach synchronous, for example, and you have a student who absolutely feels cold and left out in a synchronous environment, well, we have to come up with strategies to help them within that context, because we have no choice. But when you have a choice, it's great to keep those things in mind. Let me see. Joel? Let me see. It's in here as Rujo.
Hi, yes.
Hi,
Uh,
you.
yeah, sorry I logged in late, so I actually have no idea like what questions do I need to answer to.
We are just talking about modalities right now. What modality are you teaching in?
So I'm teaching fully in person. I'm working in a charter school in Denver. So this is
Hey, neighbor.
this is a Chinese immersion school. So basically, I'm teaching Chinese language, math, science, and social studies, all in Chinese, in person every day. Yeah.
And do you use any kind of digital supports in your in-person? Do you do lessons or activities that use digital tools?
Yes, we are practicing like typing. We're using like Schoology, and I used Canvas before. Yeah, and I try to apply more digital tools like fun activities into my class, like Kahoot, Quizlet. Yeah.
Wonderful. I love Quizlet because of the AI features. Yay.
Yeah.
And now Jean and Joel have both mentioned Schoology as well, which is one of those very popular K-12. Well, it's very popular in the K-12 sphere, for those of you who are not familiar with it. Great. Well, thank you for giving us some examples of in-person digital supports. Thank you. And I said hi, neighbor, because I live up in Longmont, just about 30 minutes from you.
Oh, wow. I went there before.
Let me see. Okay, so again, we will be exploring modalities in more depth. Some people have a lot of experience. Some people in this course have a lot of experience with one particular modality, and some have some more generalized experience over a couple of years with multiple modalities. Some of the people in this course only have experience with in-person, have great experience with in-person teaching using digital supports. And all of these are options that we're going to explore more. And all of these are options that you can use in your final projects. And now we're going to talk a little bit about the final project here. So this week for your final project, and let me point this out, week 1, final project. First, make sure you read the final project overview, which is right there in week 1. Okay, and this links directly to it. Next, you're going to want to copy the final project template. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in case you haven't done this before. It's in Google Drive. So you're going to click on this link. You're going to get this prompt to make a copy. So go ahead and click make a copy. And then you're going to be taken. Okay, I am signed into my account. So I was taken to my Google Drive account, and a copy of the final project template is here. And this is the document that you will be working on throughout the next 8 weeks. One of the documents you'll be working on. All right. Now, if you don't have a Google Drive account, you might be prompted to create a free account before you can make this copy. And then you will be able to simply edit this document.
I have a question if you don't mind me.
Please
jumping.
jump in. No, jump in. I encourage it.
So, are there any like example or sample for the project description? Like how many words do you expect us to fill in here? What is the expectation here?
Yes, I will be posting an example every week. I'll be working along with you and providing an example that that is like the roughly mimics the expectations in terms of word length and so on. Okay. So for example, I will, in mine, I think I copied it here. There's my example. Okay. I'll let you look at that a second. This is just for the week 1 part. Okay. Basically, it talks about how long the unit is. In this case, it's 1 week, and it is week 10 of a 16-week semester because I'm working on a university, a college class. Between 22 to 45 years old. And the target performance level is novice mid, but also with support activities for novice low learners and novice high learners, because part of maintaining interest and engagement is providing activities, you know, for your learners that are more advanced and your learners who need more support, right? Learning objectives, some possible learning objectives, and then some possible DEI concerns. So what is going to happen is you're going to turn in your week 1 final project description, right? Based on this prompt that is in that document. Okay, week 1. You'll put that in, you'll get feedback, and you'll have opportunities to revise. This course is all about create, get feedback, revise. Create some more, get some more feedback, revise some more. It's never a one and done. Course design like teaching are always continually evolving and developing process. Okay. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
I do have one quick question.
Yes,
So
please.
here the lesson unit, right? So that means only one lesson unit or multiple, like lesson units.
So in the final project overview, where it talks about the scope and sequence requirements, guidelines, blah, 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 for more details, but a lesson unit consists of 2 or more planned learning activities
Okay.
that address the same objectives and have both a formative and summative assessment as part of that integrated performance assessment. Okay?
Okay, thanks.
You are welcome. Great question. Yep, 2 or more. So what we want to see through this is your development of an activity and the follow-up activity and how you are responding to things like, did a student not do well on the formative assessment? What are they gonna do to revise and or redevelop those skills before moving on to the next assessment, the next activity and assessment that builds on the first one and so on. So that just growth. Wonderful.
I have a question. I know our time's almost there. So, is it possible we can have a whole picture of the whole final project before we start it? Because that kind of like determine the direction we are heading to. And of course, I mean, I hope you don't mind. I probably will finish week 1, 2, 3 ahead of time and waiting for your suggestion firstly, if that's okay.
So there's a couple of things that you can do. The template, the prompts and everything are, among other things, leading you to develop a lesson that is similar to what is in StarTalk Create. So I'm going to go there. Just a second, and I will. All right. I'm going to go to Create. I'm going to log in. You can create a free account here. We're going to do this in week 3, but you can certainly work ahead if you want. So I'm now logged in. It's a free account, logged in at StarTalk Create. And if I go to Discover Plans, you can see different plans based on what language you're teaching. So Chinese, then you can see examples, all right, of plans that have all the information that basically that template asks for. So you can see the progression. Okay. And I recommend, let me see, StarTalk has included, I'll send you a link. StarTalk has several in here that are exemplary lessons. So I'll send you an exemplary lesson to give you an idea of what we're aiming for. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You are welcome. I'll send it out to everybody via an announcement. So make sure that you have signed up for notifications and that when you log in, you look at the announcements area if you're not signing up for notifications. All right. So let me stop sharing. All right. I hope that you found this overview useful and that you found the description of the final project useful. Remember, I'm available. All you have to do is go to the class list in the course room, and you can find my name and you can message me directly if you have specific questions. There's also the help forum. Plus, I believe all of you now have my actual bethany.bavard@gmail.com email address if you want to just email me that way if you have any questions. But other than that, that's all I have for today. If you have no further questions, then I wish you a wonderful and blessed day and a great rest of your week. And I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you. Have a
you.
good day.
Have a good day. Yeah, bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.